So your goal is to be able to do a push-up. Now that is an awesome goal, and the great news is that push-ups are one of the exercises that form the foundations of calisthenics. So as you master push-ups with the correct form, you're able to build strength and also advance in calisthenics and learn some more skills and progressions along the way as well. Now, although push-ups look like they're actually an upper body exercise, they're in fact a full body movement, so what we'd call a compound movement. And it's definitely a movement that people really aspire to be able to achieve. I know way back when, at the beginning of my journey, and if you guys haven't seen me before, I used to be overweight and I wasn't into fitness at all, not strong at all. And I wanted to learn how to do push-ups. I couldn't even do them against the wall. And I think from going from that point to being able to do one sort of mediocre push-up on my toes on the floor was around 8 to 9 months. And then from there, it started to speed up and I was able to work on the correct form and also getting more reps as well. That being said, it was a super frustrating journey. There was definitely times where I was thinking, this is so frustrating and I'm never going to be able to get a push-up. It's just not going to happen. But with a little bit of consistency and just pushing through it, eventually we got there. And obviously it's quite easy for me to do push-ups now, although there's so many different progressions that I still am working on. So with that being said, if you see any of the progressions through this video and you still find them challenging, do not be disheartened. Just keep chipping away at it and you will get there in the end. So in this video, we're going to talk about the correct form in a push-up. We're also going to talk about some of the modifications and progressions towards being able to achieve your first push-up. And then finally, we're going to talk about some of the common mistakes that we see, especially when we're starting out, and things to avoid. And just a quick side note, there is so many variations of a push-up. You can do wide grip, narrow grip, tricep, all sorts of different things. Today, we're going to be just talking about a regular push-up. So nothing too fancy, just going to be a regular grip push-up. And that is probably going to be the best one for you to learn with, and then you can advance it from there. All right, let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to have a look at is having the correct form. Now, it's really important that we do have the correct form when we're learning, so that when we do progress to the floor, everything is safe, we're avoiding injuries, and we're getting the most out of the exercise. So we're going to start in a plank position, and you're going to create a nice long line with your body. So try to think that you've got a broomstick that's going all the way from your heels through the top of your head. Now, something that's really common in a plank is that people's bums will stick up in the air like this. And to avoid this, we want to create posterior pelvic tilt. So to do this, what we're going to do is scoop our tailbone under and pull our belly button in towards the back of our ribs, which should help us create that nice long line. You're also going to have your shoulders come over your wrists, with your hands just slightly wider than your shoulder width apart, and then you're going to have your eyes looking around 1 to 2 feet out in front of you. So when we actually come in to do a push-up, what we want to think about is bringing our chest down between our thumbs rather than bringing our head down between our thumbs. It can be super tempting to have your eyes look straight down to your hands rather than just slightly in front of you, but if you focus on having them around 1 or 2 feet in front of you, the alignment will be a lot better. And then finally, you want to think about your elbows as well. So when you come to the bottom of your push-up, you want your elbows to be around 45 degrees from your body. I will talk about this in just a second, but don't forget to keep your core engaged throughout the entire movement. And to do so, I like to think that someone's going to come punch me in the stomach and you're going to brace for the impact. Okay, so you can't do a full push-up on the floor right now, which is totally normal because like I said, it takes a long time to be able to get to this level. So what can you do to modify? Well, most people will do a push-up on their knees, and there's nothing inherently wrong with this. If you have the right alignment, keeping your hands underneath your shoulders, focusing on having your core engaged, and also bringing your chest down in between your hands, you can get a benefit from this exercise. This being said, the only place to really progress from here is to go onto your toes, and that's quite a big jump in terms of strength. So a good option is to work on incline push-ups instead. This enables us to work with the form of a full push-up that's on our toes, but instead change the height of the surface that we're pushing on so that we can slowly increase our strength and work our way down to the floor with the correct form. All the same form cues will apply, so make sure you're keeping your body aligned, that posterior pelvic tilt, core engagement, and bringing your chest down between your hands. To give you an idea of what you could potentially use, you could use a wall, which is where I started, a kitchen counter, the side of your sofa, a corner of a dining table, a chair, or even a bottom of a staircase. I even used the corner of a bathtub when I was running a bath just to get some extra practice in. All right, let's talk about eccentric training. Now, this is a fantastic form of training for a lot of exercises in calisthenics and just in general, which helps to build strength and muscle. This might be something that you want to just do separately once you find that you're working on an incline, you're getting quite low, but you still can't quite do them on the floor. Or it might be something that you want to intersperse with your training on an incline as well. But essentially what we're going to do is slow down the eccentric phase, the muscle lengthening phase of the exercise. This will increase neural stimulation, it will increase muscle hypertrophy and also strength as well. So super beneficial to put in. So what you want to try to do is, with the correct form and really focusing on controlling the movement, come down towards the ground for between 4 to 8 seconds, and then you can just drop your knees and come back to the top of that exercise. This type of training is quite hard on your muscles, so you need to make sure that you are having adequate rest afterwards, but also you probably want to drop your reps as well. So let's talk about some common mistakes to try to avoid in push-ups. And the first one we've already touched on, but that is having your butt up in the air and your head down towards the ground. Now this puts undue pressure on your lower back and something that we really want to avoid, but it also reduces the range of motion in the exercise. So we're not actually coming down as far as we could, and we're not getting the maximal benefit that we could be. To fix this, again, just focusing on creating posterior pelvic tilt, so tucking that tailbone under, pulling your belly button in and also knitting your ribs together, creating tension in your core as well, and maintaining that throughout the entire movement. Of course, we've touched on this as well, but not forgetting core engagement. So like I said, imagine that someone's going to come punch you in the stomach, you're going to tense up really hard, and you're going to stay like that throughout the entirety of the exercise. It takes a little bit of practice, but you should get there eventually. And just another quick note on breathing. So with push-ups, what we want to do is we want to breathe in on the way down and then big breath out on the way up. All right, the next one is something that we've probably all seen time and time again, and that's when people rely or use momentum to get reps out in their push-ups. Now, if you're using momentum, it just simply means you're not using your strength as much as you could be, and you're not going to be getting as much benefit from the exercise. Plus, it can also lead to injury too. So what you want to focus on is a tempo of 2-0-2-0 to start with. So 2 seconds down, and then 2 seconds straight back up with no rest in between. Obviously, this doesn't apply to eccentrics. Okay, and the last one we're going to talk about is really common, and that is having flared elbows. So when people are starting out, they tend to want to really put their elbows out wide. I know that I definitely did, but the problem with this is it puts undue pressure on your shoulders and elbows, which has the potential to lead to injury, especially over a long period of time. So instead, rotate your hands so your middle fingers are facing forward, slightly wider than your shoulders, and focus on bringing your elbows to around 45 degrees from your body. If you find that your elbows are still flaring and you can't get your full range of motion, it probably just means that you need to work on an incline for a little bit longer before you reach the floor, or maybe switch to eccentrics. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to touch on in this video is wrist pain, because this is a question I get a lot. And it is common to feel pressure and maybe a little bit of discomfort or pain in your wrists, especially when you're starting out with exercises like this, because it does put a lot of pressure on your wrists. One solution to this is to put your wrists in a more neutral position so that you're not putting your wrist in that wrist extension, and that's avoiding the pain. Now, obviously I'm using mini parallettes here, and most people won't have them just lying around their house, but one option that you might have is to use some dumbbells, and especially if you're at the gym, you'll definitely be able to grab yourself a pair, and you should find that this will help you a lot. Additionally, you can also do some wrist strengthening exercises using dumbbells, and you'll also notice that as you get used to it and you build up strength over time, this pain or discomfort will become less and less. But also just make sure you're warming up your wrists too. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed that video and that you have learned something new. Now I just wanted to use a minute or two just to reiterate to you some of the stuff that we were talking about at the beginning of the video in regards to progress and expectations. When you're learning calisthenic skills or you're getting into bodyweight training, the progress can be excruciatingly slow, but this is normal. So please don't feel disheartened if something feels really hard or you find it hard to do a push-up against the wall. Again, I know what it feels like because I've been in that position, but I'm now on the other side of it telling you not to stress, just keep chipping away at it, keep working at it, doing your progressions, trying to fit in your training as much as possible, and it will eventually pay off. Once you do finally get that first rep, you'll often find that your form will tighten up a little bit and you'll be able to speed up your progress a little bit quicker as well. So just keep going and slogging it out until you get to that point, and then you'll be able to reap the benefits. And one last thing is about comparison. It's so easy when you're working your butt off to be able to achieve something to compare yourself to someone that you see in the gym or somebody completely different to you, or again, obviously on social media or on YouTube, for example. You will have heard this so many times, but you're just seeing a snapshot of that person and you're not seeing all the hard work or the history behind what's going into it. Some people are naturally stronger and take to certain types of training, or maybe they've been an athlete when they were young. So for them, the progress might be quicker. And then there's some people that have not been like that was like me, and the progress can be a lot slower because you're completely learning a new skill and putting your body under something that it's totally not used to. Like I mentioned, it took me nearly a year to be able to just do one push-up on the floor, and it wasn't even that good. But I can put up an Instagram reel for 15 or 30 seconds and show you a progression that's taken 5 years within that short time frame, and it automatically makes you feel like maybe you should be making progress a lot quicker. Whereas realistically, you can expect for it to take anywhere between 6 to 18 months to be able to do a push-up, depending on where you're coming from and your consistency. The key thing is that you track your own progress and that you believe in yourself. So don't compare yourselves to other people. Make sure that you're doing what you love and what you enjoy and being your own biggest cheerleader. All right, guys, I will leave it at that. I look forward to seeing your first push-ups when you do them, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.